All right, guys, welcome back. I got my what episode is this? 5? All right, so we're in episode 5. Thanks for tuning in. I hope the last 4 you didn't get bored and you're entertained. So I think eventually I'm gonna like open up with that gladiator thing. Like, are you not in it? I don't know. Anyway, so I got my buddy here, Dr. Hector. I'm not gonna Dr. L. I'm gonna say that. Don't want to say his last name, but first name Dr. Hector. If he wants to, he can share it. But so why I brought him over? He specializes in
Pediatrics.
Primarily kids, I guess, if you don't know. There's some people that don't know what that means. Like, I was probably one of them until I had kids. I was like, what the hell is that? Like, you're a doctor. It's all the same.
Is that the foot doctor? No, that's podiatry.
So, yeah, it gets kind of confusing at one point. But I wanted to bring him on the show and just kind of go over just like, there's so much stuff in life that I think you see. And I remember I'll always, this is primarily somewhat fitness life show, but I'll never forget we had this conversation and we were talking about like kids that are slightly obese. And the first thing you told me, you're like, well, that's not their fault. They don't go feed themselves. And I was like, fuck, man, my kid better not be fat, So I was like, damn it, that would be my fault, And I don't think people think of it that way, So that's the reason why. But thanks for coming. I appreciate
No problem.
Thank you. Thanks for the wife for letting you come as well.
She gets to sleep in on a Sunday.
Yeah, but it's cool now when she drives, she can listen to you, and it's like all right, let's see what we talk about. Okay. So anyway, I just give a little bit of background about yourself. That way, all the haters can at least be quiet.
Well, thanks for having me. My name is Hector Lastra. I am a pediatrician. I was born and raised in Los Angeles. Grew up in the Hawthorne, Lawndale area, and then went to college at UC Irvine.
Oh, awesome!
I got a
Ben over there, huh?
Yeah.
No wonder you guys got along.
Yeah. Did 4.5 years there.
Okay.
Got a biology degree.
Okay.
Met my wife there. I met Lynn. That's where I met Lindsay.
Oh,
that's
really?
a good story, actually.
Oh, that's cool. We'll talk about it in a little bit.
Right. And then I left to Kansas. I was a Jayhawk for 4 years.
Oh shit.
That was a culture shock. But
yeah, I can imagine.
I would not change those 4 years.
Okay.
That was cool, but I had to come back home.
Okay. But you're also Colombian.
Yes.
So I thought, for whatever reason, I thought you were born in Colombia.
No.
Okay.
No. I was born here. I was born in Gardena.
Okay.
I survived Gardena Memorial.
Oh, shit. That's a bad sign. Hopefully no one from Gardena Hospital is listening.
Hopefully I don't have to work there.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully I never have to work there.
The only job position available is Gardena Memorial. I'm like, oh, damn.
Yeah. That would suck.
So, yeah, no, my parents came over in their 20s. My mom was 16.
Okay.
They both met in New York, actually.
Okay. Just
and
like
then they
parents.
drove over here. But yeah, so then once I was done with Kansas, I had my medical degree, and then you had to do a residency.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, a residency is where you start practicing what you're going to do or start training in what you're going to do.
Okay.
And depending on what you choose will determine how long you do that for. So for me, pediatrics is a 3-year residency.
Okay.
Then I did a chief year where I was elected to be in charge of the chiefs.
Okay.
Worst year of my life. No, I learned so much, but man, it was hard. You're on call every fourth day.
Oh shit.
For a whole year.
Oh
so
shit.
Every 4th day you're not sleeping.
Wow.
Other than your 1 or 2 weeks of vacation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah.
And yeah, now I've been practicing. I was done with residency 2007, so I've been practicing for 12 years now.
Dude, awesome! Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
It's been all here in the LA area, Huntington Park, Linwood, that area, Southgate.
And that's actually one reason why I wanted to have you on the show.
Yeah.
And I'll get into it in a little bit
All right.
why. But that's awesome, man. I mean, I'm assuming parents are super proud. You know.
No.
Yeah. No. You know, it's weird because like. You know, like I like growing up Hispanic as well. Like my mom used to be like, you better do better than your dad. I was like, well, fuck, man, my dad's like straight hustler, dude. Like I was like, dude, like my dad's like borderline pimp. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was like, shit. No, but I mean, it's crazy. You know, like it's awesome. It's awesome that if our parents kind of lived a dream that we're kind of the extension of that,
Right.
which is really cool.
Yeah,
you
you
know?
always want your kids to do better than
Yeah.
how you did.
Ideally, you know. So
Ideally.
yeah. So I do have a random question though. Like
Yeah.
does it make sense, you know, just whoever's listening on the show, right? Like does it make sense to like study out of the country?
So study out of the country, I think you're talking about probably medical school.
Yeah.
It ends up being harder to get into residency, but that doesn't mean it's not impossible.
Okay.
So we call them FMGs,
Okay.
foreign medical grads.
Okay.
And I was when I was at doing residency at County.
Yeah.
We'd get all the applications, and automatically you'd have, oh, this is an FMG. So, you
could say it.
Yeah. You kind of look down a little bit on their training because it's not as strong as what you would get here in the States.
Okay.
And I am completely generalizing. I'm sure
there's
something
cool.
better.
Yeah.
But so basically you have that tag on you.
Okay.
And so now all your other stuff better look good.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so
I always wondered,
we had plenty at County. And they were
there's some good guys.
We had plenty of good doctors that were FMGs.
I always wonder that because like I have a couple cousins at like advanced medicine, and they studied in like Guadalajara, Mexico. So they studied there. I have a buddy. I mean, I shouldn't say that. He's a dentist.
Okay.
So you know where I was going with that. But he does take care of my teeth. But he studied in like Juarez, and he was like, and he would say like, oh yeah, well I'm going over there, and it's kind of like practice. And I was like, well fuck, he's like, it's better than what they got. And but you like being Hispanic and so close to the border, like I don't know about your family member, but my mom will like once in a while I'm like, I'm just gonna go to TJ and get my teeth fixed, and you're just like,
oh yeah,
yeah,
like, I've my mom had her LASIKs done in Colombia.
The hell? Oh,
yeah,
really?
because it's so much cheaper.
Yeah,
and they do it right.
Yeah, hopefully.
I mean, it sounds like
a little scary.
It's a little scary, but no, it's. I mean, my cousin is a cardiologist. I remember he came over one holiday and stayed with us, and we slept in the same bed. And man, we were talking to the middle of the night. I mean, that guy's smart as hell. Like like the education outside of this country. I mean, I don't understand why we kind of look down on it. Because man.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, right? Like, because you do worry. I mean, I don't know. You hear about it, but I mean, most countries, it's like, I don't know. You see, I just saw someone. I was reading something about like baby formula, and like there was like some baby formula that's made in like Germany, and it's like the first ingredient is actually like milk. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then
that's good. Good
it's a good start, right? And then the first formula in the U.S. one was like fructose, right? Or fructose, right? Okay. And I was like, oh shit, sugar. I was like, oh, all right, cool. That's interesting. That's a great way to start, Yeah. But I've always wondered that, man, because like I do know a lot of men and women that are just like, oh, I'm studying, abroad, and the yoga instructor that we have at the gym, she studied abroad. Now she's trying to get a residency here, and she's like, this is so difficult, and I'm like, yeah, I could imagine.
But you gotta get in where you're fitting, man.
Yeah.
Like the number one out-of-state medical student is from California. That just starting from there.
Okay.
If you go to any medical school across the country, you will find somebody from here.
Oh shit.
From California.
That's crazy.
My best friend in Kansas, she was from Lakewood.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Random.
yeah. So you just do it.
Yeah.
Do it, and you'll figure everything else later. Like your
Yeah.
friend
Yeah.
should be fine.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I was just thinking, it's like, oh man, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
You just don't know, you know. And
Yeah.
I think also like, because I think we're trying to attract everyone because we talk about fitness, but just on the medical side, like, is it really that expensive? I mean, like, are you still paying? Like, I mean,
I'll be paying for it's a mortgage.
oh shit.
It's so I was in Kansas. The year I got to Kansas, they changed the law. Under the previous law, you'd pay out-of-state tuition for the first year, but because you're living there, wait, I'm a resident now.
Oh shit.
And so I will now pay resident fees for the last 3 years. They changed that.
Shit.
I paid out-of-state for all 4 years. So I'm when I came out, I was $200,000 in debt.
Wow.
And I've been paying it off, but I'm
Yeah.
it's hard to make a dent in $200,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
That's
no joke.
crazy.
It's
Yeah,
no
I didn't know that. You know, like, because you hear that doctors are like they charge, so well, the insurance charges X amount, and the comment I've always heard from people that I know that work like at Aetna and Kaiser and all these other companies, they're like, oh yeah, man, it's just like these doctors need, it's expensive to get out of medical school, and I'm just like, I mean, like, really, like, how expensive, but you don't really know, like, and and I'm assuming you like worked and you probably you were kind of like paying a little bit into it as well.
Yeah, no, once you are done with medical school, you have to start paying it.
Oh, okay.
So once I started residency, you don't make much.
Okay.
Residency you start getting paid, but my first year I got paid $25,000 a year.
Oh shit.
And by the time I was done,
like a parking attendant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You don't get. I mean,
yeah.
By the time my third year, I think I was up to 35, 40. I'm sure it's gone up. This is
12, 15 years ago.
Right.
That's crazy.
So, luckily they know that, and so they adjust for how much you can pick how much you pay early on and how much you pay later on.
That's crazy.
So
that's interesting.
Well, yeah,
okay, another random question here.
I like random.
Yeah, like just give me random. What are those like I guess they're doctors, right? That they're not really doctors, they're not nurses. They're
nurse practitioners?
Yes. Thank you.
I'm not a nurse practitioner. I can't tell you exactly how they get to be a nurse practitioner.
Yeah.
But what I do know is they can prescribe some stuff.
Okay.
They're pretty much, you can have them as your primary care provider.
That's crazy.
But I think there is a limitation and some stuff has to be signed off on, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I always wonder because like it's a shorter route. Like it's a faster, shorter route. It's like yeah, okay.
I don't know.
I was just wondering if you happened, and I was like, I have an acquaintance that she became like a nurse practitioner like 5, 6 years, and I was like, the hell?
So that's 5 years like out of
out
of college?
Like she was like in college that was 4 years, like and then 2 years after. I'm like, what?
So that's good for her.
Yeah. I don't know about you.
Scary too.
Yeah. No. I see that. That's the reason why I asked. Like I was like, well, how they're really
how
taking
much
care
training did you get?
Yeah. and then what's like, I know they're thrown.
This is assuming that what you said is right again.
Yeah.
But I'd like for example, our program had med peds.
Okay.
So it's a combined program where we do 3 years, they do 4 years. Half their time pediatrics, half their time internal medicine.
Okay.
And I know some great pediatricians that went that route, and they're I think those people are much more highly I don't want to say motivated, but they're a certain personality type.
Okay.
And they're good.
Yeah.
they're good, but they did overall get a little bit less than your straight 3 years. Same with like a family practice person.
Okay.
And that's why you don't see a lot of family practice people do straight pediatric.
Okay.
Family practice, they get a little bit of gyne, OB-GYN, they get a little bit of internal medicine, they get a little bit of pediatrics. So this is somebody you want in like, some podunk wherever that can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Are they as comfortable? I in my experience.
Yeah. That's fine.
They usually don't like to see kids as often.
Okay. That's interesting.
But again.
Yeah. No. I mean, and that's the thing, right? Like, I think one of the biggest things when I was telling Richie, I was like, hey, I'm gonna bring a doctor on the show, and he's like, what the hell? I was like, hey man, like we're gonna talk about shit that nobody else wants to talk about, like, and it's just a conversation. It's all opinion based, right? You take it for what you want it, you know what I mean? But at least it gets you to think, you know what I mean? That's the way I kind of see it. That's cool though.
Lindsay was, I remember one time she had, I think it was people from work, and she's just like, oh, my husband's a doctor, and then I guess I showed up to some random event, and they were like, well, he doesn't look like what we like. They pictured, I don't know, like
bald,
like
fat.
Exactly. And so a lot of people, get surprised.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, man. So,
and I'm brown.
Yeah,
it's like you're not a doctor.
Or like like not taking away from, like, what I hate, like I don't know, it drives me insane. Like you get people and they're a doctor of something. I'm like, mathematics, man. You're like, not like, I guess.
You know what? I'm trying to be nice.
No, but it's true though.
But if you go to, I don't know if how it is. I know you're Mexican, Puerto Rican, but if you go to Colombia, they're called doctors.
Yeah.
Doctor.
Yeah.
And then, but the difference is, medical doctor, médico.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because in Puerto Rico it's the same.
They still have the title. They still have Doctor Lastra.
Yeah.
But they're medicos, and that's how they make the distinct. Oh, you're a doctor. And
Yeah.
But I think here in the States, doctor, it mostly means one thing, but it's a doctorate degree that these other people got.
Yeah, it's crazy,
so,
man. Like,
I think, we probably get a little jealous of other people being called doctor, but it's legit. They have a doctorate.
No, I know.
They had to do a lot more papers than I did.
Yeah, because I could just imagine like an emergency. Is there any other doctors? Like an accountant?
Is there a doctor on the plane?
I'm an accountant, man. It's like, oh fuck, I'm fucked now. You know what I mean? Are you gonna calculate how quickly I'm gonna die right now?
It's like your total debt. If you don't make it through this,
that's literally what's gonna happen. So all right. So here comes another random question. So you have two beautiful girls.
Yes.
So do you like take care of your girls, or you like go to someone else?
So everybody asks me this. No, I'm not their doctor.
Okay.
Because are you gonna be their doctor? I'm like, no, I don't want to be their doctor.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm their dad.
Yeah.
But they're not gonna go to the doctors for a cold.
Yeah. Okay.
Or even an ear infection.
Yeah. Okay.
So they hardly go to the doctors. I mean, physicals, so they can get their shots, and they're 6 and 8. They're done with their regular shots until they're 10, 11. So right now it's like, do I really need to send them? But I know. So the reason why I say yes is because, one, the spouse, because it's always different hearing it from somebody else.
Okay.
So whatever is, dude, my mom doesn't believe the shit I say.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I'm telling you, you don't get a cold from the cold. And she still does. She's like, no, ponle un suéter. I'm like, they're going to be fine. And so.
Or what about walking on tile with no socks?
Dude, all the myths. Like, that's half my job. Half my job is when they come in with the cotton balls in the ear, I'm like, that ain't doing anything, dude. Like, but sometimes you just let them.
You know.
Yeah. So I forgot what the question was. Something about my daughter. Oh, the doctor thing.
Yeah.
So why would I still send them, even though I started out with the Lindsay needs to hear it from somebody else.
Okay.
Because you always, for some reason, believe less the people that are closest to you.
Yeah.
Because you've grown up seeing them a certain way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still, the kid that was, shitting in his diapers to my mom. Like, I'll always be that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's one reason. But other things, like, I'm not checking their vision and hearing at home.
Yeah.
And then the other things that, like, they need to hear, especially, like, Lindsay going, my suegra, my mom going, is like, look where they are on these growth charts.
Yeah.
Because you guys, are the ones feeding them.
Yeah.
So yeah, but sick wise, unless, I mean, if I'm worried about taking them to the doctor, they're gonna be pretty bad.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. That's interesting. I try to use that same excuse, like when I'm pretty handy in like building shit. So my wife asked me, it's like, no, I just want to pay for it. I don't want to build it myself. So maybe if you hear from someone else, then I don't have to do it. You know what I mean? But no, I told that's cool. Like, I always wondered that, like, I was like, man, it's like, I have 2 daughters as well. And it's like, I always wonder, they're starting to do sports now. And I'm like, I want to coach them, but I don't want to coach them. It's like, I was like, I might be that guy. It's like,
I get it. Every parent is different. Every kid is different, and it's gonna work sometimes, and sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
And so you just gotta see how it goes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just weird. I just really always like wondered that. I'm like, I was like, I wonder if like people, especially medical doctors, like. I just think like even like a plastic surgeon like does surgery on their own wife, unless I would assume just if they want to kill them, like, you know what I mean? It's like, I wonder like, cause you would think, cause they're like the one you trust. Cause I would think you would check your own daughters, but I see your point though.
But there's also a problem where, you're bringing your own bias in. Yeah. And that can affect how you would treat them or how you look at them. Okay. So that makes a difference. Yeah. That's another reason why, if they had anything major, plus the guilt if I were wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
Or the guilt if that surgeon, if something goes wrong.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, because you're kind of leading into that topic, like, you have a lot of people that are always saying like, oh, they're just guessing. Do you feel that it's an error on both sides? Like, we're not able to explain enough or tell you enough so you can get the correct diagnostic for that person or that child?
So that's a good word, guess, because there's guessing, like really random, like, okay, I'm gonna guess the numbers to the lotto.
Because I used to I apologize, because I would fake the shit out of stuff, like, right, like I didn't want to go to school, and I was like, Mom, my stomach and my kidneys and my heart hurts, like, and she's like, que voy a llevar al doctor. I was like, oh shit, and I was like, all right, what did I say last time, so I don't have to go to school,
Okay, so going back to guessing, what I'm doing isn't guessing. I am actually, as soon as I walk in the room, before I've even talked to you, before I've even said hi, I've already looked at you. Okay. And it's like when you're watching us lift. Okay. As soon as we set up,
you know if you're gonna miss it.
You already know. And so as soon as I walk in the door, I've already have a ton of information. Okay. So it's not a guess. It's taking pieces of information, putting it together, and formulating what is this most likely. Do I have, if you say guessing is I don't have the exact answer when I say you have a cold, okay, I haven't tested you for the virus, and adenovirus or coronavirus didn't come back positive. Yeah, but based on what I've read,
Yeah.
based on my experience, this is an educated guess, and that is holds power when you come into a doctor's office.
Okay.
That's why I don't like to call it a guess. Guess
Okay.
sounds so guess
Yeah.
sounds so arbitrary.
Yeah. Okay.
And no, this isn't. This is my educated opinion.
Yeah. Because I mean, I think like in the Hispanic culture, like, I mean, you know how our parents are, right?
yeah.
And they're like we'll
Ese
say,
doctor no sabe
yeah,
nada.
which means that guy doesn't know shit. Like, that's literally what that means,
yeah.
right? And you're just like, like I hear it all the time. My like, dude, I'll tell you this, like, quick story here. So, I used to play soccer. I was really good at soccer. Like really good at soccer. Tore my ACL when I was a sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
My fucking knee, dude, was like in front of me. Like my heel was like over here, right? And they had to like, I couldn't straighten out my leg. It hurt like hell. Had me in the wheelchair, right? And they take me to the hospital, and they're like, "Yeah, this looks like a torn ACL." like he's like, "Your knee is dislocated."
What is it for Monty Python? No, it's just a flesh wound.
yeah, literally. So my leg was over here, my knee, and my mom's gonna kill me for saying this story. So my knee's like over here, like it's bad. Like I'm like, I'm in tears. I can't straighten out my leg. They're like, it's dislocated. So my mom's like, "Te voy a llevar con el sobador. I'm gonna take you to this like massage guy, right?"
Yeah.
Bro, like he gives me a towel, puts it in my mouth, and he goes, "This is gonna hurt a little." And I was like, I laid on my back. He straightens out my leg. I'm like in tears, crying. I'm like, "Oh my God, this is so painful." Swelling goes down, like, the doctor had originally said, like, "Hey, for a month, like, you need to take it easy. Like, you need to I was like in crutches for like 2 weeks. You need to take it easy. You need to keep moving though. Keep icing it, elevated, like, the whole ice, like, elevation.
Rice.
Yeah. Rice. I'm sorry.
Rice.
So I did the whole thing, right? And my coach calls my mom, like, "So how's he doing?" She's like, "Oh, he's fine. He's good. He's ready to go back out." I go back on the field. I got my cleats on. I go back on the field, and I'm like just like hobbling on the field, right? Like, and my mom's like, he's fine.
As one of our favorite CrossFitters, suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah, exactly. Literally. So I'm like hobbling over there, and we're doing some drills. I couldn't even pivot. Like, of course you can't pivot. Yeah, I can't pivot.
Sounds like an ACL.
Yeah, and I was just like, "Oh, my knee!" Like, I was like, so my coach is like, "All right, we're gonna do some strength training." He's like, "What did the doctor tell you?" Like, and I'm like, "I don't know." He told my mom. My mom was like, "He's fine. He's okay. The doctor doesn't know what he's talking about." And I was like, he's like, "He's fine." And then literally, like, my mom to this day says, "No, I never made you go out." I was like, "No, you did. You did. Like, you did. You made me go back."
Supposed to trust you.
Exactly, dude. I was like, dude, like, to the point, like I was like, fine. I ended up playing football with the torn ACL, ran track and field with the torn ACL, and my mom was like, "You see, you're fine. You can still do stuff." And one of my cousins, his dad, and he's a cousin. I don't say uncle because long story, but I'm not even gonna get into it. But
one of those.
Yeah, he hurt himself, and he had knee replacement. And my mom would go, "You want your knee to look like that?" Like, and he had the scar from like the middle of his quad to like his ankle. Yeah. I was like, "Oh no, I don't want that."
My babysitter, she was our babysitter in like 6th, 7th grade, and she had a stroke.
Oh shit.
Luckily, not while she was babysitting us, but my mom would say, you shouldn't if you if you just showered and you're warm, you shouldn't go out into the cold, or you shouldn't change temperature, or you're gonna end up like La Señora Genoveva.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh,
Shit.
dude, that
Yeah.
puts the fear of God in you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, and now, knowing what I know,
You
I'm
still
like,
don't.
no. Like, it's like, man, all these lies. But yes,
Yeah.
if you write on yourself with a pen, you're gonna get poison. You know, which makes sense. Maybe back in the day, lead, whatever.
Yeah.
And I know I won't, but I still won't do it.
You're like,
Yeah, I'm like, just in case.
You never know. You never know.
Right.
Here's another one my mom used to tell me. So I guess I used to like ice cream.
Wait. So did you ever get the surgery?
No, I got the surgery as an adult.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I got the surgery. See, I'm 42 now. I was probably I didn't have kids, so probably when I was like 32. So I went from 14 to 32. The day before my surgery, back squatted 425 for a double, and
Damn.
my doctor was my coach, which was Chris Kimura, goes, "Think you're good, man? You're ready for surgery." I was like, he's like, "We'll see you in like 6 months," and I was like, "All right, cool." Yeah, it took me like a year to just be able to walk right. Yeah. But
ice cream.
ice cream. My mom, I must have liked ice cream a lot when I was a kid. So one day my mom, and she denies this like to the grave right now. She's like, "I never told you that." I was like, "Yeah, you did." So my mom goes, "Oh, you can't eat that ice cream because ice cream is actually old milk. You know, like the top part of the milk."
Oh, the nasty part.
Oh my God, dude.
Mess up ice cream for you?
I still can't eat ice cream.
Oh.
I see ice cream and I'm like, oh, I was like, it's probably old milk, you know? And I, dude, like, even right now, me telling you that, my stomach's all like, yeah, I can't. My wife is like, just taste it. And I'm like, okay, this doesn't taste like old. Like, yeah, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, you know? So yeah, I've always wondered that, you know, like, you know, it's just, you know, and I think a lot of people like they go in, but do you feel that, like, I guess the parent or the adult does need to give you a better, I guess, analysis from their perspective?
So, yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. It depends.
Okay.
Depends what it is.
Okay.
I mean, if I walk in and you have a cold, I don't need you to tell me much.
Yeah. Okay.
For example, abdominal pain. That's a good one.
Okay.
Abdominal pain. There's nothing I can see. There's no exam I'm gonna do on you that's gonna help me. I completely depend on all the questions I'm asking you.
Oh shit.
And that's how abdominal pain usually, unless of course they've got an appendicitis right in front of me. Okay. They don't look good.
Okay.
But for the most part, abdominal pain is one of those. And I tell the parents, I'm everything you're telling me is very important. It's the most important because when I go over to lay hands, it's gonna be a normal exam.
Okay.
So it depends. But yeah, I think going back to, you know, what, you know, the doctor doesn't know anything and the guessing and, you know, you bring up a much
broad.
You bring up a huge issue of the mistrust of medicine.
Yeah. I do think though, of course there's some great doctors out there, you know, and I think I've always thought like, it's not the doctor's fault. I think a lot of it is our fault. Like, that's what I think, and that's the reason why sometimes it goes in the wrong direction. Is because we're, you know, we've done a podcast regarding this. Is that so many people are they don't hear their kid coughing, but they just saw what happened on Instagram, right?
Yes.
So they're just like, you know, or they go to like WebMD and they're like, I was like, fuck, if you go on certain websites, like your kid has cancer for everything, right? Like it's like he ate a lollipop, he's choking, he has cancer. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think we're so, I just think we're just not paying attention.
Well,
you know?
we're in this age. This wasn't like that when we were kids. You didn't have all this access to information, and it's being able to know what information is good and what information isn't.
Mm-hmm.
We're to the point of where the internet should be making us like we have access.
Yeah.
We should be like the smart. We should be at the most intelligent we are as a human race right now,
We're not.
and we are getting dumber.
Yeah.
We have more mistrust. We're believing a lot of things that
Mm-hmm.
just aren't true.
Yeah. We just had a podcast about that, the last one, and is exactly that. I mean, regarding that same conversation, that we have all this information, and we're just like, well, so and so celebrity Instagrammer says it's probably flu season, or I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, it's interesting. I just think, I know that even for my daughters, when they do get sick, I'm just like, number one, I'll call you. It's like, I'm like, please, but not everyone has access, right? Like to be able to call someone. But like my first thing is like, okay, what's wrong? It's like, this hurts. What else hurts? It hurts here. Okay, what else hurts? And then, I know, like, okay, she didn't sleep at night. Like, she was tossing and turning at night. Like, I'm kind of aware to that. My wife is really in tune to that too. So it's just like, okay, they're coughing. It sounds like a dry cough. It sounds like a sinus cough. I suffer from sinuses all the time. So I'm just like, okay, so when we go to the doctor, it's like, hey, this, and this is happening. What do you recommend? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of, I think it's like, here's my kid, hey, Dr. Lastra, here's my kid. And you're like, well, what's wrong? I don't know. He says he's sick. And you're just like,
yeah, no, and I personally, everybody practices differently. I personally like to drive the conversation.
okay.
One, because I know what information I need,
Mm-hmm.
and two, because I don't need to know what time you gave Tylenol at.
Yeah.
It has. I have so many patients to see.
Yeah.
And there are some things that I need to take more time on. I had a patient that was born at 24 weeks.
Oh shit.
So 23 weeks is the cutoff of when a baby is determined to be viable, like we can actually save them.
Okay.
Before that, there is some miracle case before that, but generally 23. And so I need to spend much more time on you.
Yeah.
You the parent and the baby.
Yeah.
That has all these complications versus the sniffles.
Yeah.
So I drive that's why I drive the conversation.
Okay.
I always think of like, okay, tips like I can give parents so that you can get the most out of your doctor's visit.
Yeah.
One, show up on time. That's like it's number one.
Sorry. I apologize in advance.
That's number one, because when you don't show up on time, it creates a domino effect. So when you're upset that the doctor takes an hour or whatever, I want to go home too.
Yeah.
Like, you think I'm like messing around? Like, like I'm not late to see you because I'm like on Facebook.
Yeah.
Like,
you want to go. Yeah.
Like, I want to go. I'm trying to make the 5 o'clock class.
Yeah.
So that's like number one, show up on time. Two, and this depends on the doctor, but with me, let me ask the questions, and I promise I will give you. I'm here to listen to you. The best doctors listen.
Yeah.
But I don't. There's a lot of information that you think is important that
That's not important.
It's not.
That's interesting. Like when you said the Tylenol thing right now, I was like, huh. That's yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, and then the temperature was this, and the temperature was that, and then I gave to me, and this is a conversation specific to fever. It's, I don't have a thermometer at home. The number of the temperature means nothing to me.
Yeah.
Like fever, okay, that's the way that your body helps you fight.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean your brain's gonna fry, and just because your little cousin suffered from seizures that you're gonna have a seizure. Like,
yeah.
Did you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know, I remember that conversation because I remember I called you and I was like, dude, I was like, my little one, I was like, she's like at 103. Do I take it? And you're like, no, she's fine. I was like, okay, she's not gonna get a seizure, right? Like I was like, she's not gonna get.
All right, so for everyone listening, I want to give you the fever speech.
Thank you.
Okay, so fever is the way the body helps you fight what you have.
Okay.
It actually helps you. So the next question should be, well, why do we give medicine for it then?
Yeah.
If it's good, why are we trying to bring it down?
Yeah.
There's only one reason. It's because you don't feel good. That's it. It's not because it's going to kill you. It's not because it's doing harm. It's because you don't feel. That's the reason for most cold medicines.
Okay.
Cough has a function. It's the way the body is not allowing mucus to drive down into your lungs. You're trying to get it out.
Yeah, get it out.
So why are we taking cough medicines?
That's interesting.
This is helping you. It's because you're trying to sleep.
Yeah.
Because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some theories on pain medicines too, like, and inflammation. And hey, inflammation, is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way the body's trying to heal. Like, why are we taking anti-inflammatories? Because it hurts.
Yeah.
You know, and so seizures. 2 to 4% of kids can have febrile seizures, usually hereditary.
Okay.
Usually there's a parent.
Yeah.
It's seen between the ages of 6 months to about 5 years.
Okay.
So let's say you're not in that. Stop even thinking about it. But let's say you are in that age group. So 96 to 98% of you, your kid, is never going to happen. Let's say it does happen.
Yeah.
I've had parents who their kids have febrile seizures. They stop bringing them into me every time they have a seizure with their fever. Why? Because they know this is just their immature body. This is a hereditary thing they're going to outgrow. This is not even affecting their intelligence or anything.
Yeah.
So all these things we do, we grow up being afraid of fever.
Yeah.
We've all heard it. Like, oh, your brain and the seizures and it's bad and it means you need antibiotics. And the most common reason for any fever is a cold. It's not a bacterial infection that requires antibiotic. Colds are caused by viruses. Antibiotics don't work against that.
Interesting.
Antibiotics. See, and that's I love like drawing stuff. Like if you come in to see me, a lot of times I'll draw the picture of the ear and the ear canal and the tympanic membrane and show you the space in the eustachian tube, and this is where the infection is. I love doing that, and it's being able to understand everything at a molecular level.
Okay.
And that's where all this information that's out there, if you don't understand the basic, then you're gonna keep believing that yes, walking on my bare feet is gonna get me sick. I'm like, at a molecular level, that makes zero sense. It just doesn't make sense. But I enjoy. I say the same things over and over again every day because I work with Latinos. And I love it. That's what I've been. That's all I wanted. Yeah. When I finished, I was like, I want to work in a predominantly Spanish-speaking population because what a waste. Yeah. Not only my Spanish, but also my experience growing. I mean, my mom is your mom. Yeah, like exactly. You are my mom when you come in. So I have no idea what we're talking about.
No, it's fine. It's fine. No, you're good. But I mean, that's great information, though. I mean, I just think a lot of people, we do stuff because that's what we've been told, and that's all we know. Yeah. Right. And go ahead,
dude. What's the Dusk Till Dawn, right? With what's her name?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But
Salma Hayek.
Yeah.
I think his name is Richard Rodriguez.
Yes.
So there was, I think it's that movie, or it's one of his movies. There, on DVDs they'd have the extras. Mm-hmm. So they were at his house, and his house has a studio and all that. And he started telling a story. Yeah. And he was telling a story about how his mom would always prepare, I think it was ham. It was a big thing of ham, or I don't remember. I think, and every time she would make it was a big deal, like for, I don't know, Thanksgiving or Christmas or something. And she'd get the ham, she'd put it in the pan, and she'd cut off the ends and she'd cut off the sides. And then he asked his mom, "Why do you do that?" She's like, "I don't know. That's what abuela did." So they go to abuela. Abuela, when you make the ham, why do you always cut off the ends and cut off the sides? She's like, "I don't know. That's what my mom did." So they go to great grandmother. Like, "Why do you cut off the ends? Why do you cut off the sides?" "Well, because when I did it, the pan was too small." And that's what happened. That's what we're seeing. That's all these wives' tales. That's all these myths.
Yeah, and that's I think that's like the part that we see all the time, and especially being in the Hispanic culture. Like, I mean, we have a ton of those.
I mean, every Hispanic. I have a large black population now that I'm in Linwood. I'm sure. Whatever ethnic everybody has their thing. Everybody has their thing.
It's crazy, man. So now, like, one of the biggest reasons why I was just like, we got to have this guy on the show. Okay, here it comes.
All right.
So you're a doctor.
Yes.
And you've been doing fitness.
Yes.
You're an actual doctor that practice. Yeah. Shirt says, "Does your doctor even CrossFit?" So as maybe some of you guys are just tuning in, I own a couple CrossFit gyms and we do a couple of other different things. But the doc here has been with me for 4 years now, 5 years almost.
It's gonna be how old am I? I'm 30 now. I'm gonna be 44. 5 years in February.
Okay, so almost 5 years, and I think he has the same passion I have for CrossFit as well. And I think we've both as athletes are still growing, and we still grow. He just discovered like the weightlifting side probably a year ago.
Yeah.
And it's like, I told you should have done this a long time ago. That's just me though. But not listening to the prescription here.
Yeah.
But
if you, it's like as a parent, it's like if you knew what I knew, you would listen to me. But no, you gotta.
Yeah. But we don't do that. We don't do that ourselves. So it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. But so I think I have to ask you this because you've done CrossFit. And not only have you gone to CrossFit in our facility, you've gone to multiple facilities, you've traveled, gone to CrossFit gyms. And I the pros and cons of fitness and overall fitness, the fitness industry. But I think, does it make sense to have kids in fitness, like this style of training, like athletic training? Because you get people that are all, like, the biggest thing that we get is, you're gonna make him short, like he can't weightlift, or he can't do this because you're gonna hurt them. And in my perspective, I'm like, I see your point, I understand, but I mean, from your perspective, like, does it make sense for children to train with barbells, dumbbells, medicine balls? I mean,
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
I think, and it's kind of even so as a pediatrician, we learn a lot about disease and all that, and we probably, we're not experts on everything in the medical, like they're pediatric orthopedic, and we don't know what they know, or even pediatric physical therapists, and we don't know what they know, but we know some, but
mm-hmm.
And so and there's been this bro science, or whatever you want to call it, where kids shouldn't lift weights.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing that growing up.
Me too. Yeah.
My
mom blames my height.
You're going to stunt your growth.
Yeah.
And especially now that I have been in CrossFit, I've looked more into it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it actually, when you look at the science and the studies, and it doesn't add up. One of the things you worry about, so in growing kids, you have on the ends of the bones growth plates,
mm-hmm.
physes in medical terminology, and that's what you're worried about.
Yeah.
If I mess these growth plates up, I can cause serious damage to this growing bone.
So, is there I know there's certain areas in the body that you have the growth plate. I think it's the ankles, the knees.
You have them. Growth plates are in all bones. that are
Okay.
growing.
Okay.
Your bone can't your bone can't get bigger without a growth plate.
Okay.
But we always look at the the long bones
Okay.
are the more classic ones that you look. There's a classification of the fractures to growth plates called Salter-Harris fractures,
Okay.
and that's what people are looking at as far as injury and growth retardation with injury.
Okay.
It's a classification scheme of how is the growth plate involved, and it goes from 1 to 5.
Okay.
So most of them are going to be a classification of 1 or 2.
Okay.
Not, if you have like, I think I read it was something over like 75%
Okay.
of Salter-Harris fractures. So most of them are going to be in that 1 to 2. They don't need to do much as far as an orthopedic surgeon. They're casting, whatever. We all know somebody who's been casted, and they heal fine. Nothing
so
happens.
it's funny you just said that, and I'm like, wait, that does make sense. So like, if a child breaks their arm, it's not like that arm's gonna be shorter.
Right, and especially if depending on what kind of fracture. Let's say you have the 3s and 4s are more severe because they are closer to the joint.
Okay.
A lot of times those involve surgery.
Okay.
Even those do well as far as not affecting growth.
Okay.
So we're talking about, it's really, really hard. Like when you see all these, and this is kind of gonna sound off topic, but when you see these teens having babies, and then most of the babies are fine.
Yeah.
It's really hard to break kids.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
And you have, I mean, I've had teenage moms, and some of them still, they want to do teenage things.
Yeah,
and,
like
and
15, 14 years
like,
old.
And and you're like worried about the baby. They make it.
Yeah.
They make it.
Yeah.
It's hard to break, and it's one of the reasons I went into pediatrics, is because all the parts are new. It's a brand new toy.
Yeah.
It works well.
Yeah.
And over time you mess up the toy and it stops working because of all, the diet, the lack of exercise and all that. But there was, so I told you we would practice with med peds in residency.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one day I was in the peds ICU.
Yeah.
Kid was intubated on it, which means they have a machine breathing for them. So they're pretty bad.
Yeah.
They're we have to induce a coma because you have a tube going down your throat into your lungs, breathing for you. And my friend Chintu, he says, "You guys are so lucky." He's like, "That baby right there that's intubated is gonna make it." He's like, up the hill, which is where they would do internal medicine at the county hospital, USC. He's like, we don't, most of the time, that if they're that bad, they're not gonna make it.
Damn, that's crazy.
It's hard to break kids.
Yeah.
It's really hard to mess kids up.
Yeah.
So I am very pro the weightlifting as long as it's done right.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's true with anything.
Yeah,
though.
that is true with anything.
That's true with any. I mean, if you pick a sport.
Yeah.
Sports, injury is part of sports.
Well, I think being a child is part of it. I mean, I was what, 6 years old jumping off roofs? You know what I mean? Like, I was that guy.
Yeah.
I was like, here comes Spider-Man. And I would literally jump off a roof. Like, my mom's like, you're going to break your leg. I'm fine, Mom. I was like, parkour. Just jump off, dude. Yeah. So it, I right now that we're having this conversation, I'm like thinking about, I was like, man, I did a lot of dumb stuff. And like, I'm, maybe I could have been taller. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, boys have more fractures, by the way.
Yeah. But so now, I don't know so how do you diagnose if they broke a plate? Like, is it an X-ray? Is it? Okay,
it's an X-ray.
So it is an X-ray.
It's an X-ray.
Okay.
Most of the time you can tell from the X-ray there's certain fracture, like the Salter-Harris one. It's not, you won't see it on an X-ray because it goes through or just adjacent to the growth plate. So it's hard to see it, but you can see the swelling, and then you that's where you get that, going back to your guessing, where this is a Salter Harris 1 based on these symptoms,
Okay.
based on your swelling here.
Okay.
Even though on this X-ray you can't see, but the other ones, yes,
Okay.
you can see the breaks.
Okay. Any MRIs to figure
Usually
that
not needed.
out? Okay.
Usually not needed for bone. X-rays are great for bones. They're
So,
horrible. They're horrible for soft tissue, muscles, ligaments, and that's why ACLs.
Can you repeat that, because so for you guys that are coaches, athletes, so I when I started the CrossFit and owning a fitness facility, that was the biggest thing. It's like, oh, I hurt my shoulder, and I knew it was probably bad. I was like, oh shit, they're pretty hurt. They're like, well, I'm gonna get an X-ray, and I'm like, yeah, no, dude, you don't need an X-ray. I was like, you probably need an MRI. They're like, no, my doctor said he'll do an X-ray. So can you explain just the difference from an X-ray to MRI so people understand?
So, without getting on how they work,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what you see.
Okay.
So if you look in an X-ray, you're pretty much looking at bones. You can see the soft tissue, and what I refer to as soft tissue is organs, muscle, fat, all of that. You can kind of see them, but you don't see any detail.
Okay.
Bones, you see them real well.
Okay.
So if we're talking about soft ligaments, cartilage, muscle, an organ, you really want to see what's going on. You won't. The X-ray is the worst study you can do.
Okay.
The only thing the radiologists ever comment on an X-ray is like, oh, you can see it's a little puffy. There's some swelling.
Okay.
But again, you won't be able to see any detail. MRIs will give you detail to soft tissue.
Okay.
So
that's awesome.
yeah.
Okay.
So like for example, when we get X-rays for ankles,
Yeah.
because the sprained ankle all the time.
It's all the time. Yeah.
We're not looking for. We know the ligaments messed up.
Yeah.
That's obvious.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, again, I can walk in the room and go,
Yeah.
your ligaments messed up.
Yeah.
The only reason we get them is because sometimes the ligament can pull on the bone and cause what's called an avulsion fracture.
Okay.
And that's really the only reason we're getting them.
Okay.
So yeah, that's one example.
Okay.
But
yeah, it's weird because I had an athlete before. I think he was 11, and his father didn't want him to do weightlifting, and he's like, "Well, I don't want him to do weightlifting because I don't want to stunt his growth." And I'm like, "Bro, you're not even that tall either, man." Like, I was like, I don't know how much taller your kid's gonna grow, you know. So anyway, so he's like telling me, and I was like, so I kind of pulled the dad aside. I'm like, hey, like, and I told him, I was like, hey man, I'm a really good like weightlifting coach. Like, I can get your kid. Your kid is really strong for his age. He can do some cool stuff. Let me coach him. And he's like, no. I ended up finding out he's like, he cracked his growth plate. And I was like, where? He's like, in his ankle. I was like, okay. Doing what?
The kid.
The kid did.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, doing what? He's like, oh, cross country. Like, and dude, I was just like, I think the next day I was like, hey man, is it possible? I had asked you, I'm like, hey, is it possible you can really, but is that?
It's the repetitive trauma, and that's what I tell kids. The more common injuries are those kids that are doing one sport every single year since they were those. You know how you were asking me about being a parent and pushing your kid.
Mm-hmm.
The what I don't like seeing is when you just push them in one sport over because you want them to get to a certain level.
Yeah.
Those are the kids that always have overuse injuries.
Okay.
The body does not like repetitive motions over and over. I tell parents, switch them up, switch sports. Don't do the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest advice to parents of kids in sports is switch it up.
Yeah. And I think that's what helped me growing up. Like I did everything. Yeah. I did everything.
Soccer, track,
so I did
everything.
Soccer, track, football, basketball, volleyball. Yeah, I did everything. I mean, I wasn't good at certain sports, of course, but yeah, baseball. Like I played a lot of sports, and I think that was what prevented me from a lot of injury. You know, because I was flexible. I can jump. I can run. I can, I could do everything. Compared to those like one athletes that's all they did. You know, so they played baseball, and then you give them a basketball, and they're like, I don't know how to shoot a basketball. It's like, so that's interesting. So, I mean, being a doctor that's in the fitness industry, and the knowledge of getting healthy, getting stronger is out there, right? But I think you probably see a ton of like child obesity.
Ugh.
Especially in Hispanic tribe. And that was like the reason why I was like, I need to have this guy come on the show, because
this is its own podcast.
And I apologize. I'm bringing it up so late.
No, it's so that's the other reason why I would say yes to all the weightlifting and because get them off there was a great meme I saw recently. The first picture was the parents pulling the kid by the ear into the house, like it's time to come in.
Yeah.
And now it's like you got to pull him by the ear to get outside and do something off the couch.
Yeah. And
all the little tech, whatever, video games, internet, phone. It's an epidemic. It's so mostly, and this is cultural too, is I get people, I'm worried he doesn't eat enough. Está muy flaco.
Yeah, he's too skinny.
He's too skinny. And then you pull him up, and I know it's coming. And I pull up their growth chart. I'm like, let me show you their growth chart. Mm-hmm. And they'll be like ideal body weight.
Yeah.
Ideal, but our kids or our population has gotten so overweight that we're looking at normal as too skinny and overweight as normal.
As healthy, yeah.
Yeah. And I always heard certain if you come from a third world country and you don't have as much available to you as far as food and all that to be fat, man, they're living the life. They got money. I mean, that's good. And that's one I remember one grandpa was saying, oh no, look how big he is. He's healthy.
Yeah.
His immune system must be great. I'm like,
talking about,
I've never please explain to me how fat makes you keeps
you warm.
How makes you more immune to disease.
Yeah.
Like that makes zero, it doesn't make sense. So it's a constant, and God, there's so many angles to talk about this. But you brought up the parents, and it bugs me when the parent turns to the kid and says, "See, you're eating too much or whatever." I'm like, no, you gotta point the finger at yourself. This kid is not going to work. He's not making any money.
Yeah.
He's not the one buying. Who's giving him the money to go to the store and to the liquor store and go get some candy, or buying the whatever, whatever fast food or whatever junk.
Yeah.
And I have to call the parents on it. I'm like,
yeah.
One of the things that I tell every kid, and I part of it is also you got to encourage them.
Yeah.
It's not just like I'm showing you this graph not to make you feel bad.
Yeah.
But this is my job. I got to be real.
Yeah.
One, because I got to get you healthier.
Mm-hmm.
The kids that have the most success at losing weight is when the whole family is doing it.
Mm.
If the whole family's not doing it, forget it. It's how's the kid gonna do it by himself?
Yeah.
And it's hard too when you have so many inputs into what's happening with this kid. It's not just parents. There's a broken home, so the other parent wants to
make them happy.
Get the kid on their good side because both parents are talking shit about each. And it's like, you're the person losing is the kid.
Yeah.
And then you have grandparents too who can't
Yeah.
say no to anything. And and this is one of the things I tell grandparents a lot. There's food is not the only way to spoil your kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can spoil your grandkid with your time. I mean, kids love going out to play. I mean, when
Yeah.
you go out to play, they are
Yeah. Imaginary time.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So um yeah, it's bad. I mean, I'm getting um I start checking cholesterol levels and all that, fasting labs and sugar and all that. I start checking it at about once they turn 6.
Okay.
So we use the BMI, the body mass index, to
Mm-hmm.
determine whether your weight is ideal, and it's a calculation that looks at weight for your height.
Okay.
And so you get a number, you plot it on the graph based on their age, and you get a percentile. If they're over 85th percentile, you're overweight. If you're over 95th, you're obese.
Okay.
Um, and so we base it off that. And I always tell the parents, look, because people don't trust
Yeah.
the numbers, and like, I'm gonna look at this graph and I'm gonna show it to you. This is what it says, but I'm gonna tell you if I agree with it or not
Okay.
when I look at the kid.
Okay.
And I look at the kid, and basically once we get to their stomach, if there's too much going on there, if there's cottage cheese or if it's
Yeah.
hanging over, I'm like, the graph isn't lying.
Yeah.
And it always brings a chuckle to the parents
Yeah.
because they know, oh, está panzón. You
Yeah,
know,
he's a little fat.
He's
Yeah.
got a little belly. Like, the graph isn't lying.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, the BMI has its limitations, but in kids, it's
pretty spot on.
It's pretty damn good.
Well,
And it doesn't get and it doesn't get bad. You don't see it start making mistakes until you get into your teen population, where you see more muscle, and that
yeah.
is accounting for the weight.
Yeah.
But those are very rare.
Yeah.
It,
So let me ask you this, because I hear this fairly often, which is like, oh, the doctor said my kid's fat, but I think he's just big boned. I was like,
you know what I say to that? Have you ever seen a skeleton with big bones? That makes no sense. Come on, it makes no sense.
you know, I
there's
hear
no
that all the
such
time. Like,
thing.
well, they're big bone. I'm like,
No, that's fat. It's fat. Unless you have a bunch of muscle, then yeah.
okay.
Yeah, then I mean, there's no such thing as big bone.
Okay.
I mean, there is. It's a medical condition, and it's very rare, and it's not your kid.
I was just asking. I was throwing it out there.
Yeah,
Maybe I said that a couple times, but
It's a good.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
no, but it's just that we see that, and I think now you've worked in different neighborhoods,
Mm-hmm.
do you see the difference in like Hispanic location to a African American location to Caucasian location, Middle Eastern, Asian?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and it's sad.
Okay.
Definitely, and there is also a socioeconomic, not just
Yeah.
cultural, but also socioeconomic. But unfortunately, like here in LA, if it's predominantly Latino, it's going to be lower socioeconomic,
Mm-hmm.
or African American, and it's the problem is cultural, and it's a mindset and perception thing. In other words, we are so proud
Yeah.
of our food.
Yeah.
I mean, so proud we've
Yeah.
gotten so proud to the point of where it's hurting us.
Yeah.
And if we see somebody eating healthy,
Yeah. We judge
they're
them.
weird.
Yeah. We judge them.
They're weird, or they're kind of being not Latino, or not,
Yeah.
like you see them less ethnic.
Yeah. If you have if I told you I was gonna go vegan, you'd be like,
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, that,
You know,
like,
it's like, it's just weird in Hispanic culture, to tell you like, I'm not going to eat lechon, or
Right.
which is pork.
Right.
People would be like, what is wrong with you right now?
Yeah.
Like, how are you not going to eat that? So that's interesting. I would, and I'm going to dig a little deeper, but would you say that maybe 50% of the kids are like some type of obesity, some type of...
I'm sure you can find the percentages out there. On a daily basis, out of my physicals, let me put it to you this way: when I have a physical,
Mhm.
and I look to see what the numbers are before I go in the room. I go, yes, they're not overweight. I don't have to
Okay.
go. I don't have to spend all this time talking about food and your choices and the parents and blah, blah, blah. So it's, I don't know a percentage, but I would say, of what I see on a daily basis, yeah, it's probably over 50.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
That's
I think
crazy.
it's easily over 50.
That's crazy.
Without putting a specific number on it,
Yeah.
it's easily over 50.
That's crazy.
Um,
I wouldn't have I mean, because I know the area you're in, I would have thought that, but I would have thought, maybe like 30, but yeah, that's
No.
that's interesting.
I wish.
That's
I wish.
interesting.
Again, I get happy when they're not. I'm like excited
Damn.
because now I can just.
So do you see it more in, I mean, and I know you don't have the numbers in front of you, but do you see it more in boys and girls, or...
No, it's equal.
Really?
Oh, it's equal. Yeah.
Wow.
No, our girls too.
Wow. That's
Oh.
interesting.
Yeah. I don't have the numbers in front of me.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, that's would you say that normally when you see the parent, you already know the child is, like, if the parent is obese, you're probably going to assume the child is going to be obese?
I wouldn't assume they will be, but then I'm not. I could see why the child is,
Okay.
because I do have a lot of obese patients, parents of athletes. So
Okay.
so that no, I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
But then it makes sense, and that's where the conversation makes more sense to them. When I say the kids that have the most success losing weight
Mm-hmm.
is when the whole family's doing it, and they know, right?
Yeah.
Their little light thing goes off above their head, like, yeah, you're talking about me.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I am, but I'm not gonna say it.
The awkward stare. You're sizing each other.
Yeah. So
It's like, oh, I see your point.
yes.
No, and I always just, I wonder, just because, like, it's normally at the gym, if we see the parent, like, unless the child is in sports, then it's okay. But most of the time, unfortunately, I think, especially in the areas that we're in, the parent is trying to get on some type of fitness track,
Yeah.
so they can help themselves, so they can help their kids.
Yeah. If you look at the kids that show up at CrossFit Downey,
Yeah.
I can't think of one that's really overweight, obese.
No. Yeah, no.
And that's the mindset that
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's us weird people that are working out and doing and trying to be healthier and eat healthier and doing all those things, where it's, once you get that going, it reflects on the people around you, your kids.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, for some of you that are like wondering if we're going to go into vaccines, we're not going into vaccines. So if you want to, so
Yes.
so if you're kind of still if you're listening, I hope we're still giving good information, but we are not going to talk about vaccines.
No.
And that was more of my choice.
Thank you. No, and that's the sky is blue. It just is.
I don't want to go into that. I don't want to, create an argument over something that it's a never-ending battle. So if you're still listening, thanks for still listening. But I don't want to keep you guys thinking that we're going to go into vaccines. But going back into just for kids, and I'm just, asking you what I hear at the gym, like, is it true? So mom and dad are overweight.
Mm.
son's overweight.
Mm.
I'm gonna say metabolism on the child is much higher because they're growing. Yes, no, maybe.
That's when people say that, the whole metabolism thing. Um, Metabolism is you can measure how our thyroid does. Our thyroid controls how efficiently our system works.
That is correct.
Very very rarely is there an abnormal thyroid. There are kids
Yeah.
hypothyroid or hyperthyroid. They're very rare. For the majority of 90 whatever percent, I don't know what
Mhm.
the percentage is, but it's definitely well over 90. Their metabolism, their TSH, their thyroid stimulating hormone, falls under a certain range, and that's normal.
Yeah.
So is it, are they hyper a thyroid? No,
Yeah.
they're just normal. Their body functions the way it should. Um, and I think what people want to say, especially with working out, is adaptation versus metabolism.
Yes.
And that's different.
Okay.
Like how like people always think your metabolism has to do with how you poop. Like, oh, they have great metabolism. I poop every day.
Yeah, I poop 3 times a day.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
your metabolism's great. I'm like, no. Your metabolism. I mean, yes, if you were hypothyroid, you'd probably be constipated. If you were hyper, you'd probably have looser stools. But most people are normal thyroid.
Yeah.
What's called euthyroid. So, but our bodies work differently,
Yeah.
and that explains differences in how, one kid or one person can lose weight a lot easier than another one.
Yeah.
What was your original question?
Well, no,
about metabolism?
you're kind of leading
Yeah.
into that because I just think, and I was saying that because you have adults, right, that come in and they have children as well. They're like, oh, my child can eat whatever, and I eat the same thing, and I'm fat, and they're losing weight.
So that's genetics.
Okay.
That's I was born skinny. That doesn't mean I can't get fat, but yeah, I can lose weight easier than the next person.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the cards you're dealt with. Some
Yeah.
people, it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
And yes, it does change the older you get.
Mm-hmm.
After those 6 months of weightlifting, going
Yeah.
back to CrossFit, man,
You're like, what the hell's going on?
God. I'm like, I swear I don't suck this bad. But I think I told you, I was like, I wish I sucked as bad as I did before I started weightlifting.
Yeah.
So age definitely, adaptation is gonna get harder with as you age personally,
Mm-hmm.
but from one person to another, we're all different.
It's funny you say that because I think that is a misconception about for children and for adults. They're like, oh, well, my son has a cold or my son can't lose weight. I'm going to go on, I'm not picking on MedMD, but like they go on different websites and they're like, well, this website says do this. It's like, well, it's tough to do that because everyone is so different, like internally, physically. I mean, it's just so.
Well, and everything's going to work. Like for a cold, like that's everything's going to work. No matter what you do, it's going to work. So that's why people are going to still believe in, oh, if I drink this tea or this whatever, because everybody gets over a cold. So.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's so annoying that you're right now. It's like, so you're saying that if I drink the chamomile tea at nighttime, does not help me.
If it makes you feel better, then do it. That's what I say. That's what I tell parents. If it makes you feel better, then knock yourself out. You're not hurting yourself.
What about the Vicks? What about the Vicks on the chest?
Don't do the Vicks. Here's the reason why the Vicks has been found to be medically significant. Is it can cause bronchospasm, especially the smaller you are. Bronchospasm is another way of saying that's what asthma is.
Oh.
The reaction to the eucalyptus, that strong, can cause a reaction of the lungs.
Interesting.
I remember I once told the mom that ese doctor no sabe.
Yeah.
And they were back. They came back the next day and they're like, "I'm so sorry." I'm like,
Yeah. That's crazy. So
yeah,
that's interesting. So
yeah.
so you're saying eating Vicks and all that other stuff doesn't work. Okay. That's it's interesting because like my family, again, Hispanic culture. I mean, Vicks is like it's like everything.
Oh
You
no,
know, like
yeah, you use
put it
it for
underneath your
everything.
feet, you put it on
Or
your chest,
you ever
put it
see
on your armpits.
the Chris Rock when he talks
Yeah.
about Robitussin?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's Vicks for us.
Yeah, yeah.
That's crazy though.
Robitussin.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, we just we just see it as like interesting way of doing it. Like, oh, we're
Yeah.
just gonna do it that
And
way.
and most of the things are there again to make you feel better.
Hmm.
Like they're not there because they're taking away your virus or anything. They make you feel better.
Interesting.
So the honey and the softening, like it does feel good on the throat.
Yeah.
You're not hurting yourself as
Yeah.
long as you don't give honey to less than 1 year old. Go for it.
Yeah.
Um.
I'm gonna ask you one other question about that.
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Finish.
I don't think I was gonna say.
Okay.
that.
Random question
Yes.
again, and then why can't you give water to an infant?
Good question. So, your kidney has not fulfilled its full function until about past 12 months. So,
Okay.
so the ability to filter water and manage sodium
Okay.
is not at its peak. So what happens is you give too much water, the kidney can't handle it, and now all of a sudden your sodium can drop and you can have brain swelling.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah. And I used to know the number. I want to say it's like something like 120 or something. The rate it filters at is deciliters per. I'm getting
Yeah.
all the units wrong, but yeah, you don't achieve full kidney function until nearing 1 year old.
But all the formula is made with water
And sodium. So you're getting the right balance of what your kidney can handle. It's not just water in it. It's not the water. It's just water by itself.
That's crazy.
Because you're and that's why I put up something recently. Your kidneys are badass. Your kidneys can do like the way they maintain balance of what's going on throughout your body, throughout your blood. I mean, and people say, "Oh, my kidneys are concentrate. It's real yellow right now." I'm like, yeah, because it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's holding on to water because you're probably a little dehydrated. Oh, it's real clear. I'm like, yeah, you have too much water. Let's get rid of it. Or I need to balance my sodium. So this whole alkaline water and all. Do you realize how little sense that? Like, if you've ever worked in an ICU and had to draw blood gases, because we have to do that.
Yeah.
If you have somebody on a ventilator,
Okay.
you have to see where their carbon dioxide is and their oxygen, because you're gonna make adjustments to the vent settings, because you could. You don't want them to have too much of one thing, or you got to keep everything balanced. And that one of the things you look at is their pH.
Okay.
And so what a normal pH is and how little it changes relative to the full spectrum of pH from 0 to 10.
Okay.
So you're at 7.4 normally. And then if it changes, if you go to 7.3, that's significant.
Yeah. That's interesting.
To your breathing. To be able to change it with a drink to get it more like closer to 8 or whatever, you'd be dead.
Interesting.
The alkaline water makes absolutely no sense. And I just laugh at it. I'm like, how is this still going on? This is like basic physiology but we don't know anything.
I drink Vaz.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. I drink Vaz. I mean, my wife does like a specific alkaline water brand. I've just my mentality on that, and I think one day maybe we can find some water expert, right? Like, I don't know.
Well,
like,
it's funny that you said about the alkaline because I had a
Wait, you're talking. Can we hear you?
You want to get closer?
Why am I
Yeah.
using this mic then?
Yeah.
I'll go to the mic real quick. My cousin would do alkaline water or the Kangen water.
Oh yes.
And he said that he would, after he would shower, he would get a little bit of it and put it on his skin, and that his skin started to clear up from all these blemishes and started, you know, all these little things.
That's
fine. I don't
fine.
know if it was just like a sales pitch or if it was the water was actually doing something, but even when he said that he went to Vegas, he brought a gallon of it and was hungover, drank it, and he was better.
So you're saying that when you drink water from being dehydrated, you get better.
It was specifically the alkaline water that the Kangen
Yeah,
that it was making
yes.
it
Yeah.
because of the high
the skin
higher pH level.
Yeah, got it. The skin stuff, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like your body being healthier.
Yeah.
It makes zero physiologic sense, and this is what I'm talking about. That like when you understand it at a molecular level, so many things. You stop buying all these wives' tales.
Yeah.
And all these sales pitches and like all the. So in I think it was 97, they passed something that allowed you anything found naturally in food, you can package it. And what do we get out of that? Vitamin stores. And so now we got a bunch of sales pitch. Oh, this is going to make your immune system better. This is going to make this better and that better. And they can legally because 1997.
That's crazy.
And so everything's a pitch.
Yeah.
Everything's a pitch.
Yeah.
People ask me, oh, which baby formula? They're one now. Should I switch to the Gerber? I don't know what.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just drink milk. Just give me milk.
Yeah.
Why are you wasting your money?
Yeah.
So everything that has .com behind it.
Yeah.
Com stands for commerce.
Yeah.
And they're trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's where you're getting your information from.
Yeah. No, I could see that. You know, I just think it's weird because there's, I've never been a fan regarding the alkaline water, and I'm not a big supplement seller, like that at the gym. Like, it's a great way of getting additional income at the gym, but I don't push it because we sell fitness, we don't sell products, and then some of the basic stuff. But I just think of it this way, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger and all these guys, these old legends, they were, those 20, 30 years ago, these guys are drinking regular water or probably from the faucet, you know what I mean? And they're, you know what I mean? And like some of these athletes, and I think some athletes are better than before, but I think because our technology has gotten better, so the coach now that before couldn't see the punch, the rotational and the elbow on the punch, they couldn't see that. Now they're like, hey, you're turning the elbow too fast. Just like weightlifting, when I first started, I would record everything so I can see it 2-3 times and say, oh, like I see what I'm missing. Yeah. And now luckily now I can see it. But I think that's the reason why athletes have gotten better,
And that's, and it's the training, and now they've got like all this stuff, that Renaissance periodization, like they're like looking at the science of how these foods affect you and all that, and that's it's great. Yeah, it's great, and that's something that wasn't there before. I mean, you had our greats, Magic and Larry playing the shoes, those Converse.
Yeah.
Man,
you tried playing in those? Have you? It's like playing in Chucks, man.
Whoa, your feet are done.
Yeah, and they would play 80 games?
Yeah,
at that time, probably.
I think hasn't it always been 82? I don't know. I think it's always been 82.
Okay.
But yeah, the tech changes and it helps us, and the science changes and we learn more, and what we thought before, and that's one of but last time the study showed this was different. I'm like, what?
Yeah, we have to grow.
It's okay being wrong, but it's being wrong because we're trying to find the right answer, not
Yeah.
because fulanito said that my aunt had this and
Yeah.
so now I do, or
Yeah.
I shouldn't do it, or that's why I shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we're actually like, it's so bad that science has become a bad word.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's true for everybody, but
Yeah.
right now,
Right
in
now.
the times we're living in,
Yeah. Right now.
in this country,
Yeah.
science has become and it we're going backwards.
Yeah. I think
We're going backwards.
I think a lot of it is I think again, we had this conversation in the last podcast, is that there's so much information out there that we don't know what we're looking at and we don't know what to do with it.
And this is what I tell my patients and my parents is, don't come to me for plumbing advice.
Yeah.
I don't know I wouldn't know what to do. If you need a plumber, go to a plumber.
Yeah.
But if you want medical advice, that's what we've dedicated our lives. You don't understand how many hours. Like people, I don't know what people think. Like, I remember when I was in medical school, I was always a big procrastinator. That's bad. So I had to catch up. I'd go in the library when it opened at 8 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
It would close at 10 or midnight. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And then I'd go across to the medical school where I knew some labs were open where I could study in there. And I'd still be like behind.
Yeah.
How can you study for like over 16 hours? Like if you did something for 16 hours, you should be caught up.
Yeah.
Like if you did that in high school,
Yeah.
if you studied that much in even college,
Yeah.
if you studied that much, you'd like ace everything.
Yeah.
And that's how much information and how much time was put into that we put into what we do. And it's it's like, come on, I really do know what I'm talking about. Like,
it's funny because I think one of the biggest problems that we as like coaches, on our perspective, quality coaching and knowledge is not valued anymore, because you can go on Instagram or on social media or go somewhere and they say like, they don't say your coach is an idiot, but they say, well, we've learned this different technique to do this a little bit better. And you're just like,
and if you buy this book,
and you buy for $20.99 recurring payment,
everybody's selling something.
Yeah.
I mean, these people are making
millions
just being an Instagrammer.
Yeah. And I think that's what's happening even in the medical field, and you get a lot of people that they start running into those situations that they're just like trying to find different things, But I know Dr.
Oh, no, let's not start.
Let's
not start with Dr. Oz.
I got a question. Just it might be a question regarding kind of like not supplements, but more vitamins. Like, what's your opinion on vitamins?
So, often the first myth. Let's start off with the most common one that I get from Latino parents, including what my mom used to do when I was a little kid, is take this vitamin so you're pa que te abre el apetito. Mm-hmm. So you have more, so you eat more.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not true. So, do we need multivitamins? I tell parents, just you get it from the diet. You get it from the diet. Just eat healthy. You don't need these vitamins. So I tell them, no, you don't need any vitamins. There are certain. What do I take? I take, and there are some that have good scientific proof basis behind it. I take the omegas has been scientifically proven to reduce your bad cholesterol. And the only other thing I take is the it's to help your cartilage, and I'm blanking out on the name of it right now. But it has been your cartilage kind of wears down over time, and it does help. Other than that, I just try to eat healthy. If you're eating your greens and you don't need these vitamins.
Yeah, so I take a fish oil.
Good.
I do a vitamin D.
And then vitamin D has been a bigger issue that's been brought up more recently. A lot of people, and probably because we're not going outside of the house as much, we're stuck indoors on our little, and so we have found vitamin D levels that are down. So that one's legit.
Yeah, because I would go to my pediatrician and he would always just say, "You're low in vitamin D.
Yeah.
Take a supplement."
Yeah.
So when I started doing that and I started eating healthy and working out, my levels went up and they were good. I take a B12, and then I take turmeric.
Yeah, I don't.
You don't no.
He's like, yeah.
It's not hurting you. It's your money.
No, yeah, no, I know that, but I just like to see your opinion on.
Yeah,
those.
You get it from your diet. Anything, most of the stuff if I'm taking it or if I have the vitamin D is because it's very science based. And I'm sure there's tons of studies on turmeric and B12 and all that. And
What about for kids? I mean, you have like those little gummy bears.
that's what I'm saying. Is the multivitamins and all that. I said just give them a healthy diet. But I tell them if it makes you feel better, then do it. But I don't think it's necessary, and it's your money.
That's interesting.
So, and somebody's gonna go on here maybe in a later podcast and say all these benefits and all that.
Yeah.
Like we're I have not taken a day of turmeric in my life.
Yeah.
Or and I consider myself healthy.
Yeah.
And I've had labs drawn, and my kidneys, liver, my cholesterol, and all is great.
Yeah. That's interesting.
And it's not fair to say that because I'm fine then.
Yeah.
But also based on what I've read, I think it all comes back down to that 97.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we're getting ready to wrap this thing up.
All right.
Anything you want to finish off with? Any advice? Anything you're thinking off the top of your head? You just,
5
No.
No.
Yeah, anything you can
No,
think of.
I think without even planning it, I think we've covered a lot, and I think the obesity thing is the number one thing, and getting parents to get their kids active and eat healthy as an example, setting examples, and stop talking bad about the other parent.
Yeah.
Even if you're not with them, no matter what, I know maybe they messed you up, and I get that, but the only victim here is the kid. So co-parent, it's like a trendy word now, co-parenting, but it's so true. It's you got to be on the same page, and it's not just co-parenting, it's co-grandparenting and co-family-enting. I mean, it really does. It takes a village.
Yeah.
It takes a village to raise these kids right.
Yeah.
So,
I appreciate that. I am going to leave with one little thing you said a long time ago. For all you parents that are upset that your kids are on iPads and, that my kid doesn't do anything, they're on iPads and they're watching kids watch other kids play. The doc here told me the same thing. And he's like, well, what's the difference from you watching a basketball game? If you're not going out, they're not going to go out. So it makes a lot of sense. So, we'll leave it at that. If you guys like this podcast, share with your friends, leave some comments, hit a like, check out our YouTube video. We have, you can kind of see us in person or whatnot. But yeah, share with your friends. I hope this stuff was like great information. I wanted to thank the doc again for coming on, but I do want to say, if you guys have a question, comment, feel free to leave it on there. I mean, depending on your responses, like I would love to probably have them back. Or if there's something else that you really wanted to ask, maybe we'll bring them back and we'll do a quick, instead of an hour and a half. Yeah, a quick one, but yeah, leave a like, share with your friends, let us know how we're doing. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for having me.